Right, guys, I thought that I'm going to make a settings video because I've spent hours on YouTube looking through settings for Warzone, and I've finally, over the last few days, I've finally come to like the best settings that I've ever been at, and I feel like it's made a massive difference. So I'm just going to try and share what I found on the settings, so you can have a look at it and see if it makes it better for yourself, which it will do 100%. Okay, so we're going to start on the graphics tab, and this is a display section. I run it on full screen borderless because when I'm streaming, I like to flick across to my other screen. But if you run it on full screen, you get less input lag. It's only a little bit though. So if you are streaming, obviously I'd probably keep it on full screen borderless. But if you're not streaming, just make sure it's on full screen. That's just going to be your monitor. That's going to be your graphics card. Now, if you're running a 1080p monitor, you'll probably have this set to 100. And is what a lot of pros do, and a lot of people who are on 1080p monitors, they'll just bump that up a little bit, and they might bump it up to 105, they might bump it up to 110. And is what it's doing, it's just making everything a little bit clearer at range, especially if you've got quite a high field of view. It can be difficult to see things at range, so just having that bumped up a little bit just makes it a little bit clearer for you. So I definitely recommend trying that. Obviously, the more that you bump it up, your PC might not handle it as well, so don't go mad. You know, just try it 105 and then try maybe like 110, and then try and find something that balances for yourself. But that 105 really works for me. Just gives you that little bit extra. Disabled. It doesn't matter if it's disabled. Aspect ratio, automatic, yeah. VSync, turn that off. You don't want input lag. That's just going to cause you input lag. Custom frame rate. My monitor is 144 hertz, so I got 144 FPS on my monitor. So I limit that to 144. So I just do. And at the menu, I put it down to 60, just so my computer can cool down in between games. My brightness now. This is standard is at 50. Do you know what I mean? Why would you want to make that barely visible? Just turn your brightness up. You're selling if your brightness isn't up. A lot of people play on 60. But I use some backlight compensation on my monitor as well. So I just have it on 57. But if you're not using backlight compensation, probably just bang that on 60. And you're having a good time. Yeah, that's 2.2. It just is. If you're on the other one, then that's TV. Okay, cool. Make sure to save by pressing right trigger or save. Make sure you're doing that. Go on quality. Now, I have my field of view on 115. If you've got your field of view set to less than 110, you're fucking selling. Look, 110 is a minimum. So people like Prodigy, EU, use 110. TP, use 110. It's like Noobs is on 110. It's a nice setting. Your character's going to be a little bit bigger. The more you slide this, obviously, as you probably already know, your character's going to become a little bit smaller, a little bit harder to hit, but you obviously get the wider field of view. I run it on 115. A lot of people run it on 115. You know, it's not all the way cracked, but you get a little bit more vision. Your character's a little bit bigger. Aiden runs it on 115, and quite a few other players do. A lot of people run this on 120. Some of the better players like Diaz Biffle, Joe Warwick, Zax, you know, people, I mean, the characters are really small on 120, so it's going to be hard to hit, and you're making it difficult for yourself if you're not an experienced player. I've tried it on 120. I tried it for a couple of weeks or so, but it does make it harder to hit. So I'll probably just keep that, in my opinion, on 115, which is just a little bit below cracked, and you still get lots of vision on it. Camera movement, you're going to want that on least. All right. Streaming quality, just pop that on low. Texture resolution, low. Texture filter anisotropic, you want that on high. Particle quality, I like that on high. I've got the bullet impacts and sprays disabled because, you know, it's fun in it, spray painting your mates and that, but, you know, realistically, you know, it's eating into your usage of your PC, and if you go in a house and people are spray painting those people all over the walls or whatever, it's distracting. I don't really want to see it, so I'm not bothered. Tessellation disabled. Gore effects, you know, disabled. Just a standard quality. Now, this is a big one. I really prefer this setting, anti-aliasing, to be on SMAA T2X. If you set this to this setting or the filmic one, then you have your filmic strength set to 0. A lot of really good players turn the anti-aliasing off and they put the filmic strength to 1. Now, I'm not really into that. It makes it just, it just isn't right. I don't know whether it's my 1080p monitor, but this, it feels a lot smoother on how it is there, on the SMAA T2X. Try it out. If you don't like it, go back to filmic strength 1 and anti-aliasing off, but I'd recommend that 100%. The filmic one is too strong, and you lose frames. Depth of field off, definitely. World motion blur, any sort of blur you want off. It's blurry enough as it is. I definitely just recommend having that off. Shadows low. This actually really helps. So put them on enabled if you've not already. Particle lighting low, disabled. You can just copy them as they are. So that there is pretty much the graphics settings. Colorblind type, I prefer deuteranopia, if that's how you pronounce it. It just looks a little bit better for me, and I just put that on the world. I don't put it on both because I like the minimap as it is. This is actually quite important. I think as standard, these are set to 100, and 100 is like, you know, the right on the corners of your screens. So if this is the screen here, you know, your map's up there, you need to bring them in a little bit. A lot of people have this set to 0, so like they're right in your face. So when you're in gunfights and you know you're trying to look at the mini map, you don't have to like look properly to the corner of your screen. You can just you can just glance over. I feel like when the 2 in though, for me, it can block a bit of vision, or I don't tend to look outside that sort of parameter. So I just have mine set to 50. You're absolutely selling if you're playing on a round mini map, so just change that to square. Kill feed duration, that's a really cool setting that they just added. I was having it on 60 for quite a while, but it's quite distracting because sometimes I read it, so I put it on 30 seconds. And you can just copy those system settings there if you want. They don't really matter too much though. Now this, boost high, I used to run it on boost low, but you just want that on boost high. Music volume, turn it off. Music volume. My voice chat, I play around with this. It depends who I play with, but predominantly I'll have this voice chat on maybe like 40. There's nothing worse than when you're trying to concentrate or you're splitting off from the team and the other team are like giving comms or screaming because you've died. I have that set really low. But I change that depending. This is the important setting, and this is what I really, really wanted to get into, and this is the main reason that I'm making this video, because there's a setting in this that cracks your aim assist. I changed it last week, and my KD genuinely has gone up. It is madness. There's a few things in here, but I will get to it. I play on a standard PS5 controller. I've got a control freak up here, and you can see the foam ring underneath. It's a foam ring that just looks like this, and they're called precision rings. And the precision rings, they make it harder for your analog stick to move from left to right. So when you're in a gunfight, it's actually a little bit harder to push the analog, so you can have more control on it. I prefer them, and they allow you to run a higher sensitivity. I used to run 1414 with them, but it's what I've done now. I've changed my sensitivity to 9.9. If you've not got these precision rings, you need to be running it on 6.6. 6.6, just trust me, it's just what it is. I think the main thing for you to do is, especially when it comes to sensitivity, is to not play around with your sensitivity. Consistency is going to win you the gunfight. You know, if you're waking up in the morning and think, oh, I feel like an 11 today, or oh, I feel like a 4, you're not going to have that consistency in your gunfight. You're going to be over aiming, you're going to be under aiming, and you're going to be missing shots, and it's going to lose you the game. So just keep a sensitivity that you feel comfortable with and stick to it. Now this dead zone, if you don't know about it already, the dead zone is if you have this set to 0, then this becomes really, really responsive. If you have it set to like 0.50, then you might be able to move your analog stick like a little bit right or a little bit left, a little bit up, a little bit down, and it doesn't actually affect any of the camera. So the dead zone is how responsive this is. Now, if you start this process at like 0.01, and you'll see stick drift on the screen. You'll see a character moving without you pressing the analog. Then you bump it up 0.1. If it moves, bump it up 0.1 until it stops moving. This is different on every controller. I was running it at 0.03 until a couple of days ago, and then my controller just started to start moving. So I had to bump it up to 0.04. But the older that your controller gets and the more you use it, the worse that's going to be. So at the minute, mine's on 0.04. That you can set to, it's just at default. That's probably where you want it, or just at 1. You could probably put that to. Wouldn't really make that much of a difference. I play on default flipped. Shooting with your trigger fingers, you know, you've got a response time here where you can pull down. It doesn't even shoot. Like, look at that. I'm pressing that trigger and nothing is happening. But as soon as you press, you should shoot with your bumpers, because as soon as you press a bumper, it's more responsive. If I was in a gunfight with myself and you know, I was facing me, and one of me was holding a trigger and one of me was pressing the bumper, the guy with the bumper wins because he shoots first. So you're selling if you're not using that. Okay, let's have a look. This is massive, and I'll tell you why it's massive. And JGod's just released a video on this. The ADS sensitivity multiplier. When I was playing on Verdansk, I used to run mine at 0.85. Jowo runs his at 0.85. Most people run it around 0.8 to 0.85. Let's go with that. At the minute, I use the G16 2.5 times optic. 2.5 times. It used to be 3 times. Because of the difference in the optic, you need to slow it down. JGod did a really good video on it, so if you've not seen that, go and check it out. But just bring it down. I brought mine down. I feel so much more comfortable. He recommended 0.75, but I felt it was a little bit slow to me, that. And I'm feeling really good now. So I've got my custom sensitivity per zoom on. You definitely want to do that, because all the way here now up till 5 zoom, I'm at 0.77. So when I'm ADSing at long distance gunfights, you know, I'm hitting my shots. It's a lot easier to control. And then for the 5 times zoom, I start sniping. So I want my sniper to be a little bit faster, a little bit more flamboyant. So that's where you want to be. This is just how it is. If you don't have these settings, you need to change them. Aim response curve type dynamic. Controller vibration disabled. You don't want it like rumbling in your hand. Aim assist standard. This is the setting. This is the setting that just make it. This is the setting. Scale aim assist with FOV disabled. I run this enabled for ages. Is what it's doing when it's enabled. It makes the hitbox smaller where the aim assist comes in. So if you've got that enabled, you can see it on the picture. You're not getting as much aim assist. If you scale it with the FOV enabled, then your hitbox is smaller, so you only get aim assist when you're on the person. If you put it disabled, your FOV still thinks it's at 80, so your person's bigger on the screen, so you actually get ADS slowdown around the player. It's just miles better. It's noticeably different if you put that on disabled. You get max aim assist, and that's obviously a massive advantage, and you want that. And that's pretty much the reason I come out with the video, to be honest. Just put that to disabled. All the pros run with it disabled, and I don't think anyone really talks about that as much, but they definitely should do. You can copy these if you like as well. Apply all on armor plates. Slide behavior set to tap. Tactical sprint, I think that defaults at double tap, but I just have a single tap from run. You need to be running auto tac sprint, and your parachute auto deploy disabled. Right, okay. That's the settings video. It's your first settings video that I've done. I'm going to try and wrap it up in exactly 15 minutes. So if you've not already, appreciate a like on the video, and comment and subscribe. Thank you very much.